Now, this Saturday will mark the 2-year anniversary of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. And after months of little progress on the battlefield, Russia is now claiming its troops have taken the village of Krynky on the Dnipro River, just days after seizing the city of Avdiivka from the Ukrainian army. So just how significant are these reported Russian gains? Let's get the take of our foreign affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert. And hi, Doug. It's important to say, first of all, that Ukraine today is denying that Russian claim that Krynky has fallen to the Russians. But what do you make of these reports that in general Russia's making progress?
Yeah, let's sort out these competing claims here. Look, the overarching headline is, yes, Ukraine has experienced some setbacks on the battlefield, i.e. especially tactical, strategic, more symbolic losses. But we also know that Russia is having a field day with these and playing them up, even exaggerating them in a very fierce information, you might call disinformation campaign ahead of Russia's presidential election next month to make President Putin be able to really seem like a wartime commander who's scoring victory after victory. In the case of Krynky, what is this? It's a small village on the east or left bank of the Dnipro River. You could see it there on the map on the screen, which last year the Ukrainians crossed the Dnipro and established a bridgehead there. That is, they established control over this village in what was Russian-occupied territory. It was big headlines at the time. Now what we had in the past day or so is the Russian defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, saying that they had completely, that is, Russian forces had completely reclaimed, they had seized back Krynky. And like you said, the Ukrainians are dismissing this. They're saying that they maintain limited control still of Krynky, that the Russians are overplaying really what happened there. And there are conflicting claims this morning. But what we do have is the Institute for the Study of War saying that both the open source visual evidence as well as independent Ukrainian Russian media reports do suggest that the truth is something short of the all-out reclaiming, reseizing of Krynky that we're hearing. As for Avdiivka, let's move on. Yes, Avdiivka has fallen. That is not disputed. It was a 5-month war, one of the most atrocious, probably worse than the battle for Bakhmut. What we had is a report in the New York Times saying that there were probably hundreds, maybe upwards of 850 to 1,000 Ukrainian soldiers who were either captured or still missing in what is described as a chaotic or hasty retreat from Avdiivka, that they probably overstayed their welcome, didn't pull out in time, and that retreat wasn't as orderly as it was meant to be. The Russians, once again, have been having a field day with that as well. Putin almost gloating publicly over what he sees as a chaotic retreat, and it's really also part of that Russian information campaign. Yes, there's truth. Avdiivka has fallen, but the information campaign on the Russian side aimed at really sowing distrust and resentment and mistrust among Ukrainian commanders. And more than that, presenting to the Ukrainian people this picture of Ukrainian forces collapsing in disarray and trying to really sap morale. So more than, these are symbolic losses, right? But what the Russian information campaign aims to do is to really sap that morale, undercut the Ukrainian morale at a time when already, yes, the Ukrainians are low on ammo and they're up against it.
Well, I was going to ask you about the ammo because it does seem the Ukrainians are concerned. President Vladimir Zelensky is saying, look, we need more weapons and money for aid for the moment. It's stuck in the U.S. Congress.
It is stuck because the Republicans in the House, and not just the Republicans, but those enthralled to Donald Trump and his far-right allies in the Freedom Caucus, refuse to bring to a vote that $60 billion in aid, which, by all reckonings, if it were brought to a vote, would pass with bipartisan support. That means Republicans joining almost all the Democrats to release it. And if it were released, the Biden administration says it's ready to deliver long-range missiles and more ammunition and those artillery shells that Ukraine desperately needs right now. So it's being blocked. And what we're seeing right now in Krynky and in Avdiivka is a sneak preview, Nadia, if you will, of perhaps more of what is to come in the days, weeks, and months ahead if that aid is not released. It's going to be hard enough even with that aid. Without it, the Ukrainian cause looks more and more dire by the day.
Douglas Herbert, thank you very much indeed for your analysis.